cases, we look at these questions in SQL. We look at these questions in SQL. So we have these following questions which we are supposed to look at, and as far as SQL is concerned, and we continue, of course, establishing our understanding of SQL. So the first question there that has been given is to write the SQL command to create a new database called school. So to write the SQL command which is going to create the new database, which is of course school. Okay. So the command, I think we've already established by now. The command is simply create database, then you name your database, and in this case, it is school. So you simply say create database, and then the name of the database, of course, is school. Now, keeping in mind that with the syntax rules for SQL, the syntax rules for SQL are that SQL is not case sensitive, um, especially with this part where you're saying create database. You can either use small case or uppercase. The only part where SQL is sensitive, of course, is when you name the actual database. Like in this case, the name of the database is school. Yeah, so with that, you will find that you will have to um, really obey how the actual database has been named. So you must follow that. There, it is very very sensitive because you use this database name across the entire script. So what has the way you've named your database here? This is pretty much how you should maintain that going down as well. So there, on question 2, we've been told now to write the SQL statements to create um, the following two tables with their respective primary keys. Then you've got the table students. You've got the table students, which has the columns student ID, student name, program, year, and then you've also got courses, which has the columns CID, CNAME, and uh, and department. Okay, yeah. So we have to write that SQL statement. So you need to identify your primary key. Like in this case, the primary key, as you can see, the primary key is uh, student ID for students, and for courses, it is CID, which is the course ID. Because a primary key needs to be able to identify records uniquely. Okay, it needs to be able to identify records uniquely. Okay, so let us write the SQL statement. Firstly, starting with we want to create a table of students. So there we'll say create table. Then we'll name the table students. Okay, and then in the brackets, we now begin to specify the columns and their data types. So the first column there is student ID, which is an integer, of course. And then we can, of course, um, declare that as our primary key, okay? Because we're saying that student ID is the primary key. Then next, we move on to the next column, which has been given, which is sname. So sname happens to be a variable character, a varchar. Okay, a varchar, which is the same as a string. Then we put the string limit, meaning whatever we enter as the course name, that course name must not exceed 50 letters. The reason why we're doing this is because we need to avoid a situation where the database can be abused with wrong information. Then we also put the program. So the program is also a string, so it will be a voucher, and then it is going to have 50 characters. Then next we are going to put the next um, uh, so the next one is the year. Okay, next one is the year. So the year is an int. Okay, the a year is an int, and if you notice with integers, we do not put a limit like we're doing with variable characters, where we determine that it's supposed to have 50 letters. With numbers, no, because numbers are of course infinite. So this is the SQL statements to create the table students. We equally write the SQL statements to create the table courses. So there we shall say create table courses, create table courses. Then here now we shall now put the columns. So we have the first column, which is the course ID, which is an int, and that is also our primary key. Then we have the course name. The course name is of course a voucher. It's a voucher. Then we put the voucher limit there. Then we have the department. Yes, the department, which is also a voucher. Then we put the limit there as well. So for question 2, we've successfully written the two SQL statements which are going to create the two tables for students and courses. Now on the third question, we've been told to write the SQL insert statements to add 3 realistic records of data into both the students table and the courses table. Okay, and the courses table. So like in this case, the insert statements that are supposed to be put there, you should, according to the question, let me just write this down. For the courses, anyways, for the courses, we should follow computer science, and yeah, and information technology. These are the two programs. Okay, two programs. So let us write those two statements. So to insert those records, we simply say insert into, then we are first going to start with the students table. So we'll say insert into students. Okay, insert into students. Then you specify by putting your column names. You list all the columns in the student table. So like in this case, there's student ID, the student name, there's a program, right? Program and year. Okay, program and year. Okay, and then down there you're going to say values. Okay, then in the values there, this is where you're going to list your data now. So for example, you can put your data. So you start with the student ID, you say maybe 101, then you put the student name there, you put the student's name, then you specify what program they're studying. So computer science, like for this school, is computer science and information technology, that is there. So you say computer science. Okay, so you specify, and as you can see, so you separate each by commas. Okay, and as you can see, we are using quotes for each and every entry there. We're using quotes for each and every entry there. That is a string, but numbers are not covered by quotes. Okay, then you specify the year. The year is an integer number, so you do not put anything there. Okay, you place a comma, then you put another bracket, the same way we did. Okay, then you put the next student. Okay, you put the next student, you put the next student. So let's say the next student, the student's name. So you put his name there. Next, it is which program they're studying. So let's say this student is studying information technology. Then they're in year 2. Okay, they're in year 2. You put a comma, you open another bracket, then you put the next student there. Okay, you put the next student. Let's say the student is also doing computer science. The student is also doing computer science. And then in year 3. So that is the last bracket. Then you put a semicolon after you are done. So you do the same thing for the courses table. So for the courses table, you simply say insert into courses. Insert into courses. You list the columns in the courses table. Then down here you say values. Then you begin putting the values into the courses table, just like we did with that table. So you can put the courses as follows, just like we did with that other one. So when we go to question number 4 now, question number 4 says, write a basic select query to retrieve all columns for students who are enrolled in computer science program. So you want to select all students, okay? Select all students who are in computer science program, okay? In the computer science program, okay? So this is how we write this one. So we simply say select all from students, small letters. Then we specify and say where. So we're looking for the program, right? So you have to say where program is given as computer science. Where program is given as computer science. Then you put your semicolon. For question 5, it says write a query using a join to display student names alongside the names of the courses that belong to their matching department or program. So there's what we call the join operator in database. The join operator enables you to um, get data from one table plus another table, then you marry that data together. Okay, because if you can see the students table and the courses table, these are different tables, but what we're trying to do now is to get the names of students as well as the course names, then we put them into one package. That's what we're trying to do here. Okay, that is what we are trying to do here. And how do we do that? This is what we do. So you simply say select, or, right? Select, not really all. This time we're specifying. So all works when you're getting all the columns. But here, we are only interested in 2 columns, right? The student names and the course names. Now you need to specify that the student names are coming from where? From the students table. So you have to say students, which is the students table, right? Then dot the student's name, okay? So students here is the table, then dot S name, which means the students' names. Then you're also looking for the course names. So there you have to say courses dot course name, right? So there you say courses dot C name. Okay? Okay? Dot C name. Okay? Then here now you're going to say from students. Okay? From students. Then after that, you simply say join. Join courses. Join courses on students.program. Okay, so join on courses. Join on courses. Join courses. Join courses on students.program, which is going to be equals the courses.department. Okay, courses.department. So let me break this down into simple blocks. So you've basically selected these two columns because the question says write a query using the join to display names of students, right, alongside the names of the courses that belong to the matching departments and programs. Okay, so that is what you are looking at this point. Okay, so you've basically selected the students' names and the course names. Then here you specify from which table this information is coming from. Okay, so this is where you're now joining. Okay, so the purpose to join is that you're not just selecting random students and random courses. You're actually trying to determine the names of the students and the courses, and then you also specify to which departments these courses belong to. So this is where the join comes in now. So you're saying now from students, then you join courses. So where are you joining? So that you determine where each program um, is found in terms of the department. Okay. So when you have connected these to the students and the courses, you now connect these two now. So the program, where the program matches the department. Okay, where the program matches the department. Question 6 says write an alter table command to add a new column named um, new column. Okay, a new column named phone number to the students table. Okay, to the students table. So what happens is that sometimes you can create a table, then you say, well, you need to add a new column. Like in this case, you have the students table. Now you want to add a new column to the students table. How do we do that? So we use the alter command. So here you say alter table, then you put students, okay? Then after that, you add the new column, okay? You add the new column. So you simply say add, then you name that particular column. So that column is supposed to be phone number, okay? Phone number. So add phone number, then you specify the data type for phone number. So phone number is supposed to be a voucher. Then you specify phone numbers are how many digits? Is it 10 or 12? Okay. Then you put a semicolon. You might be wondering why a phone number is a voucher. Phone number is a voucher because phone numbers normally start with the country code, and the country code starts with a plus, and the plus is not a number, of course. That's why the phone number is a voucher. We come to the end of this lesson. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.